Broadcasting live, this is KMA Talk Radio, life, liberty, and the pursuit of fine cigars. With your hosts, Honest Abe and Adam K. the Brewmeister. Listen to the show anywhere in the free world at KMATalkRadio.com.
I like to smoke them like some Winston Churchill, like John Kennedy, yeah. Remember Coach Red Auerbach, smoked up for victory, yeah. Well, you can take my wife, you can take my car, but you can't take my big cigar. My cigar.
Loyal listeners, libertarians, lovers of the leaf, everyone out there in Facebook land, welcome to another exciting edition of KMA Talk Radio on this, the first day of August in the year 2020. And once again, 2020, please go and F yourself. Because you know what? Yeah. Because we really needed a hurricane right about now in South Florida. Even though, despite the fact that I looked out this morning, it was gorgeous. It was a lovely day. Not a cloud in the sky, but you know what? That's the clouds before the bright before the storm, as they say.
The calm?
Calm before the storm. Sorry, yes. Sorry. Yeah. With me, as always, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Honest Abe.
Good morning, everybody.
And, of course, live from New York, still in his mother's basement, it's Paul DeGracco.
Mother-in-law's basement. Get
Sorry,
it right.
mother-in-law's basement. Sorry.
Yes, because your mother's house doesn't have good Wi-Fi.
Yes.
That's true. And my mother doesn't have a basement. Their water table is too high. Their house doesn't have a basement.
Huh.
If you want to know the details.
So basically, you're telling me there's a differentiation in certain areas of Long Island to where the water table differs to where you can and cannot have a basement.
Yeah, when they were putting a fence in at my parents' house, digging for the posts, they had to bring in pumps because the holes fill with water when you dig the holes for the fence. So that's how much water is directly underneath their house. Probably why it got flooded in Sandy.
Not to interrupt this incredible conversation you're having here, but you know, Paul typically when he starts to call and calls us up, he's always hatless, but then always manages to put a hat on before the show starts.
Yeah.
Did you realize that you didn't put a hat on, or do you not have it because you're freaking everybody out?
I lost a hat. I can't find it. So I knew it was going to be a problem. I don't know. Dude, I'm in different houses every other day. So it's, you know, and my wife's commenting that I'm a slob, which is awesome. Thank you.
Also true, yes.
So I can't find it anywhere. Who knows? I'd like to blame the children.
I think we should have Steph host one Saturday.
I think that's a bad idea.
That'd be fun.
No. I think that's a great idea.
First of all, she wouldn't do it.
Are you kidding me? I'm going to reach out to her. I think for the right bottle of wine, she would definitely do it.
Oh.
That might be true.
I think for the right bottle of wine, Stephanie would definitely host a KMA episode. It could be one of the most interesting episodes of 2020. Yeah,
I know that you'd get more viewers. At least all the guys that are in the Smoke Inn virtual lounge, they always ask to see my wife and my mother-in-law, apparently, which is a weird thing that they always ask. I think it's Quentin. Quentin, if you're watching, I think it's you that always asks to see my mother-in-law. It's very weird.
Quentin is a little bit of a horn dog.
Not much to do in where is he? Kentucky.
Kentucky.
You can go walk the Bourbon Trail. What are you talking about? He's got a lot of stuff to do.
Well, you can't do that every day. I mean, maybe you could, but a normal human being that needs to function in daily society, that'd be difficult to do.
Hey, you can go watch the ponies. You can go Staples.
This is a very weird KMA morning. First, I got Paul without a hat. Then I got Adam with some kind of fluffiness, airiness that he's got going, like he washed his hair for the first time in 20 years.
Hey, he used a different conditioner.
Do you see the conditioning and the body that's in those bangs this morning? Go ahead, just fluff it back once for us. Go ahead, look at that rollback. Look at the rollback. Look at this. What is going on this morning? I feel like I'm in an episode of The Twilight Zone.
I'm like I'm getting a haircut next weekend, but it probably should have been this weekend. I probably pushed it a little too long. 'Cause it's a little too long at this point.
Did you use some like brand new conditioner or something?
No, I've been conditioning a lot recently.
Because normally your bangs just like hang in this oily, wet state most of the time, gel or whatever. But you got like some fluff and body going. Look, I could see the hair blowing in the wind. I mean, you got something going on there this morning.
Yeah, it's at that length now where it's just really just starting to do stuff. That's where it's really at.
Interesting show. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, Paul, is anybody bringing in any of your patio stuff while you're gone, or are you just going to let that blow in the wind this weekend?
No, so all my stuff is in the house, or like in the lanai, and it's all kind of tucked away in the lanai. So I'm not really worried that it's going to blow around. Did you tuck it on purpose in case
you had a hurricane come while you were gone?
Yeah, I mean, I don't leave stuff in the yard when we're not there.
You don't have furniture out there or anything?
I do. We do put furniture out there. But I brought it all into the lanai, so I think it'll be fine. I mean, if not, the worst it's going to do is break a screen in the lanai, which is easily replaced. Mm-hmm. So I'm not super worried about it. Stop! I feel like you're trying to get me like anxious about this.
No, not at all.
It is what it is.
One. Don't worry, Paul. You'll be fine.
Is it a Category 1? Because yesterday I saw that it was moving to a 2, or that's not going to happen now.
It still hasn't hit. Puerto Rico is hitting it now or soon, but that's going to bust it up a little bit. I just love the news. I'm watching the news last night. I swear, all media makes me sick. This guy was basically orgasming on the air talking about the hurricane. Like literally, it was NBC, local NBC News. Oh, we got a hurricane coming. Oh, look at this. And he's getting like all excited and stuff. And then it's going to hit the 10,000 feet mountains of Puerto Rico. And I just love how they use like Puerto Rico like nobody lives there, right? We got this great island that's going to break it up for us before it hits the mainland of Florida. Like nobody lives there, right? It's just like this island of mountains that's good for Florida because it's going to break the hurricane up before it gets to our shores.
They always do the same thing with Cuba too, because they say, "Look, this the mountains of Cuba. It's really going to lose a lot of speed and a lot of wind shear. It's going to break it up."
Yeah, not we hope wish the poor people of Puerto Rico safety and be. No, it's like hey man, their islands are going to break this up before it gets to us. I just find it amazing when they talk on the news about this crap, and I love when the hurricanes are disappointments, right? Like this Cat 5 went through. There was really nothing happened. And you get these guys, these reporters on the street trying to make news with a fallen branch somewhere. Look at this tree on the ground. Like it's a branch, dude, that came off the tree. You ever notice that afterwards?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or the guys that are like pretending to hold themselves up from the...
right? The wind.
From the wind. Mm-hmm. And then you just see people walking by them casually in the background like...
Right?
This guy's like, I can barely stand in this wind.
So bad, man.
Look at this flooding of this tiny puddle here. Look at this tiny puddle of flooding.
Yeah, I'm hoping this one will be... there's a bunch of other storms off on the coast of Africa, though, that are coming our way, too, where hurricanes start. So that should be...
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be the
interesting.
Year. Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't it be after all this?
Fire. Come on.
Abe, do you want to talk about that little trivia thing now, or you want to wait till the end of the show to bring that up?
I mean, you're the producer. It's kind of your call.
Well, we were supposed to get on a call.
I don't even know what it is.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, it was just I'd
say do it on later in the show when we got Coop and Dylan on together, and they could both partake into it.
So we'll hang on to that later because there's a conversation. I had a question for you based on that question. So later in the show, stay tuned for what might be a new segment of KMA, kind of like a little trivia thing. All of the listeners will get to participate as well. So it'll be a new fun little game. Adam's looking at us like, what's happening? What are you talking about?
No, I'm trying to get my cigar to stay in place. It doesn't want to sit in the rest of my ashtray. So that's the problem I'm looking at.
You need a cigar prop, man.
Apparently, yes. Very much so.
Oh, boy. Well, I guess it's that time.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Oh, you have one there, Abe? Wait, hold it back up. Show it.
I don't think you could read the logo, but it's in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I have one of those too from Kevin.
Oh, so do you want to talk about Thursday, big guy?
Thursday. Oh, what, the Jewish State event?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. It was fun. We had our second virtual event. Our first one was Steve Socket, and we did this one with Drew Estate, which was pretty cool for us because it was the release of a new variation of the Dogma that there's certain landmark cigars in our career that like saying Dogma is definitely one of them. It was a project that the fine guys over at Cigar Dojo did with Drew Estate, and it just was such a big hit that they bought it back. And it was released in 2014. They bought it back in 2018. It was a 2019 release, and then in 2020, this last week, they released it in a sun-grown version, which was really, really good. And these virtual events are just becoming now key because you just can't have in-store events. We can't, we drove by Renegades last night, which is by our West Palm Beach location, packed.
Oh, of course it is. Always,
you can see them. You can see the people in the streets. I mean, it's a country bar. Now they must be serving food there. They do have food, but it's a country bar, packed to the gills. And meanwhile, 5 people can't have a cigar in my lounge, socially distanced. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So I'm giving it one more week. After that, I'm opening up. The Halsey, head of the Department of Business and Professional Regulation here in Florida, said last week that they were looking to have meetings in the upcoming week to strategize how to reopen Florida bars. But I'm going to tell you something. If they don't reopen crap in a week, I'm opening up my places. I'm going to follow the 50% guidelines they have for retail. I'm not going to open up the bar, but we will open up the lounge again and maintain our social distancing and our sanitization. And I'm just going to open up. And if they're going to arrest me, they can arrest me. I mean, I'm done with this. This is just utter hypocrisy, and it's just blatant disregard every day of my life. I go drive by my house every day. There's 30 people lined up 5 inches apart waiting to get into Trader Joe's.
Yep.
I mean, it's just insanity. I'm tired of it. I mean, I think Americans as a whole are getting tired of it. If they don't really do something soon. And I'm saying to myself, why aren't some of these politicians who really know that what's going on is wrong do something? It's because it's election year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They
don't want to rock the boat.
They know any stance they take for any kind of opening or going back to normalcy is just going to get tromped upon by the media and by the other party, and they don't want to lose an election. I think after November, they're just not going to care what these guys are doing. People are just going to open up, but I can't wait till November. I mean, we're already at the point where we're working on a 1 shift instead of double shift schedule in most of our locations. My staff is cut back on hours. I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts. So enough's enough. I'm giving them 1 more week.
I mean, here, it's a little bit different in New York now, but I went into a couple of lounges here, and, the guys were, I guess they were socially distanced because they were sitting in armchairs. It's funny. I went into the cigar shop, the first cigar shop I ever shopped at alone, and it's here in the town that I grew up in. And a funny story is the guy recognized me, but not because I used to go there all the time because of KMA. And he told me a fun fact about Jonathan Drew. You never answered me, Abe, when I asked you.
What?
Jonathan Drew and I grew up in the same town on Long Island.
Yeah, I did answer you. I said that and $3 will get you a bowl of soup.
Oh, I just wanted to know if it was true. I didn't know if the guy was just.
Nobody really cares that you grew up by Jonathan Drew. I didn't know what response you wanted from me.
No. I wanted to know if that's where he grew up, or the guy was just, blowing smoke, or
I don't know,
spreading a rumor. Well, anyway,
sure.
But it's funny when you go into a place that as like the first place that you went into. First of all, it looks exactly the same as it did. How long have I been smoking? I've been able to go into a cigar lounge since I was 18, so 20 years ago. Nothing has changed. It is, after going into the shops that we have in Florida, your shops and some of Jeff's places, like is a complete.
I keep telling all people down here in Florida, they're really spoiled when it comes to.
They have no idea.
Spoiled. Mm. They are really spoiled when it comes to the level of quality cigar shops that exist in the state of Florida. As far as appearance, size, selection, it's bigger than most anywhere. You think New York would be, but it's not because of the real estate. That's the one thing I was shocked when I went to New York. Is, man, these are all really small shops.
Yeah.
Can't afford to have big shops in New York. I mean, not like in the city.
But in the city, they at least have, like, I don't know, I remembered this as being like a quintessential cigar shop. There's two within a mile of each other in the village I grew up in. But the selection, like, I was looking for brands of guys that we have. I mean, we have Dylan on today. Neither one of them has Davidoff. Or maybe they were out of them, but neither one of them even had Davidoff.
There's only 200 and some appointed merchants in the whole country, Paul, of white label.
So they didn't have that. They don't have any Davidoff products. That none of the boutique guys are there. I was bringing up brands. They're like, I don't know what you're talking about. It was a weird situation.
How big was your humidors?
There's two of the shops. One of them is just the one where you have like walls.
All right, so they're limited on linear space, Paul.
Hold on. The other one that I went into that I spent more time in is a complete walk-in humidor. Maybe like, you have in your Boynton Beach store, you have 1, 2, 3. What do you have? 4 rows or 4 aisles? They had 2 aisles, and they had no. I'm telling you, I brought up 10 brands. That
I know, but you're telling me it's
half
our size. That's a big limitation.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big limitation on what you can carry. Look, we're limited. I don't even know how shops smaller than us do it. I mean, I'm constantly, barraged with requests for brands that we just don't even have room. We have no room to carry stuff. That's one of the reasons why I'm excited about, our new warehouse we're doing, because for the online business, we can carry. Right now, our online business has been limited by our linear space, right? Our linear footage and our humidors. That's where we store our cigars. So having a warehouse will let us expand into some brands that we won't have on the retail level, but we'll have for the web. But I don't even know how stores with smaller humidors get by, because we're finding linear footage all day long.
Well, and it's funny, Coop is saying most boutique brands are very, very much regional, but Coop, I'm talking like I was looking for, I mean, maybe because it's such a small brand, but I was looking for Dunbarton. I walked in and I was like, this place will have Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. Neither one of the stores in my local area had any of Saka's products.
That's the Smoke Inn spoiled experience you become accustomed to.
It really is. And I texted Saka. I said, "Who's your rep in New York? I want to introduce him to the owners of these 2 shops so that they have your cigars." He was almost bothered by me. He was like, "Oh God, all right. Here's the guy's name."
Yep.
Have them fill out a form online. I was like, okay.
but yeah, I mean, go back to the virtual events. These virtual events are really kind of the way to go. I mean, it's just you can't do anything in store, and the retail side is hurting. So being able to reach out to an audience and try to make it into some. I mean, the Jewish State event was cool. We had Jonathan, and I hadn't talked to Jonathan face to face, honestly, for a long time. We just both been busy, so we kind of caught up a little bit on air, and all the guys from Dojo, and there were some good stories told. But it was cool because they had some really cool giveaways, and then just like as if you were in a store, we were able to manage to program the website to download all the orders in a weighted fashion based on how many entries you got, and we give away prizes live on the air as if like you're at the store at the end of the event, which is kind of cool.
I saw it. I was glad, cool.
Yeah, I was glad we were able to pull that off. So. That took some custom programming, but we got a couple more lined up. We got a virtual event coming up with Eric Espinosa, and we got a virtual event lined up in October with Pete Johnson, which I'm kind of excited about. I think we're going to have some cool things going on. I think it could be the first ever time that the Shrunken Pumpkin will be available to acquire. Shrunken Pumpkin.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like being interesting on a Saturday morning. It's kind of my job.
Hey, not like we're throwing teasers out or anything. This is not Coop. This is KMA, and guess what? We are happy to throw teasers out there.
We are totally teaser.
We are totally teaser.
We're teaser friendly.
Yes, absolutely. All right. It seems about that time. I think we should bring in our special guest for this week, our Meet Your Maker. Sounds about right. President of Davidoff USA, Mr. Dylan Austin. Dylan, welcome back to KMA Talk Radio, buddy.
What's going on, guys? Good morning.
I think this is Dylan's first appearance ever on KMA as president of Davidoff.
That is correct.
That's pretty crazy, especially when you go back to the days of. Were you there when it was called Caribe? Did you come on board afterwards when it was Camacho, or were you part of that?
No, I was. Yeah, I was there. I mean, it was. I joined. What was it? June 2005, and we were still Caribe imported cigars. The logo was the little Winston Churchill. We didn't change the name of the company until 2007.
Yeah. remember sitting in an office and meeting Dylan for the first time.
Yeah, you were one of the first guys that I met in the industry.
Wow, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It was fun. It was interesting. And we obviously, had a mutual love and relationship with Mr. Sal Fontana, who I believe is the guy that actually introduced us.
Oh,
Sal
really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a cool story.
Yeah. In fact, we have in one of our locations in Port St. Lucie, we have a memorial wall for Sal. It's a wall of all photographs, probably going back to his 30s, all the way throughout his career. And then there's an embedded video recorder that plays some footage that, Dylan helped make and put together, kind of just I don't know what you would call it, but a memorial, I guess, to Sal, and some of the funniest quotes and a little interview they did with him before he passed away. So it kind of plays forever. Yeah, you see the button plays.
It was amazing, man, because it was December, because he passed in February, right?
Yeah, early in the
year. It was completely random that the December previous to that, I grabbed a hold of him and took him in our humidor and just decided to put a camera on him and just let him run. And the content that came out of that, I mean, Sal was just literally full of movie lines, right? I mean, everything that came out of the guy's mouth was basically a movie quality line. And we got probably about 20 minutes of edited video out of that few hours, and I'm so glad I did it.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is during the video, and right after he says it, he just looks right at the camera and smiles. It's really classic. But he talks about the two most famous predictions he ever had in his career. Okay,
cigars should never be more expensive than $1.
Yeah, if cigars are ever more expensive than $1, it'll be the end of the industry. And two, the Cuban embargo won't last a year. Yeah. And then he looks at this camera right after he says it. He smirks
and just smirks.
I get goosebumps thinking about it. Great guy.
Oh yeah.
Before we dive,
start from me too. I mean, just with that guy. I mean, I worked with Sal for almost 4 years, and it's just funny because he'd come in and he'd just monopolize my time all day long. Like he'd just sit at the corner of my desk, and you could usually tell how long Sal had been in my office by the amount of cafe creme cigarillo butts that were burning on the edge of my desk. There would be a line of probably about 10 of them, by the end of the day.
Yeah. That's what Sal did. I mean, Sal would come. Saturdays in my shop belonged to Sal. Like he'd walk in, we'd have a crowd of people. He'd look at me and he'd go like this, which meant let's go in the back office. He wants to talk. Yeah. And he'd sit down and talk to you for hours. But I miss that. I miss that guy.
I remember one of the more amazing Sal stories to me was, his last couple of days, and man, I can't remember the priest. Maybe you do.
Father H.
Father H. Oh man.
Father H was a priest. I can't remember what city.
Kansas City.
Yeah, Kansas City. And he had become I don't know if he's still around, but he actually did Sal's services. He'd become very well known in the cigar community back in bulletin board days, and he was very popular. I think he had a little blog site. He actually had a caricature made of himself, the Father H thing. So he had quite a huge following, and I haven't seen him or heard from him in years. But
I haven't heard from him either.
In the day, but Father H. Go ahead.
So anyway, so we're sitting there in hospice with Sal, right? And Sal's a day or two out from passing, and I remember walking in there, and I think Marvin Samuel had just left, and I was there with Father H. And I remember walking in, and Sal's family's all there, and there are just trays of cannolis and pasta and everything. And one of Sal's kids goes, "Oh man, we just got in trouble. The folks at hospice, told us this isn't a party. And Sal is there in bed. There's people all around him, and he's on the phone giving an interview to Dave Savona. Right? The guy's within probably 28 to 48 hours of passing, and he's on the phone giving an interview to Dave Savona, and then takes a call from Arthur, right, and writes a $400,000 order on his deathbed. And to me, that just tells you what kind of guy Sal was.
That is Sal. That last couple of weeks, he was a couple of weeks in hospice. I'm not kidding you. His family took him out to dinner every night. Like I had gone like really probably about 4 or 5 out of 7 nights of each of the weeks, and hospice was like, they literally told him, this is not Club Med.
Mm-hmm.
You know what he's checking in and out. You know, going in and out. Like you're supposed to come here to die. And he's checking in and out, but Sal didn't stop until the very end.
No, he didn't. He didn't until the last minute, and that was really a testament to who he was. Right. I mean, 60 plus years in this business. This guy loved this business, as much as anybody could. And, I'll tell you what, after he passed, I mean, regardless of all the kind of peripheral stuff that was going on post sale and all that, I mean, I felt, and I know you did too, I felt, a big hole in my heart. And kind of took me a while for, reality to set in without Sal Fontana around.
Yeah. So,
one of my
go ahead, Adam.
One of my favorite stories is one of the last times Abe went and saw Sal. He came back and said, by the way, Sal told us there's going to be a price increase next week.
He used to say that he had a license, right? And this license applied to everything that Sal could get away with. Mm-hmm. Whatever it was he was doing or saying, he had a license for, and that was, that's a good example of it. Yeah.
Now, Sal Fontana, because we're sitting here talking about him. A lot of our listeners may not even know who he is, but Sal had dedicated, 50 years, 40 years of his life, 60 years, 60 years of his life in the cigar industry, and basically had worked with Julio Aroa back in the early days, making the whole brand and company Camacho. He was my first mentor in the cigar industry. He would work with Christian. I don't know how old Christian was. He was a little teenager, bitty bopper when he first got sent over to the States.
Early 20s, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember Sal coming to my office and goes, this kid's going to make me quit. This kid's going to make me quit. Oh, yeah. I mean.
And the old man quit. The old man quit via letter. And then Julio had to bring him back.
Yeah,
Julio had to bring him back.
Remember Barbara? I rember Sal had a reputation like he just couldn't take it anymore. But they ended up growing to be literally family and great part of each other's lives. But I remember early on, and Sal basically literally walked me through the industry. He was my first mentor, and that's the brand. If anybody's ever seen the brand La Fontana Cigars, that's who it was named after. And if anybody out there is a Baccarat smoker, there's a size called Connie's. It's in a tin, and that was done for his wife, Connie, who passed away from Parkinson's earlier prior to Sal. So, yes.
It's amazing. Sal's brands are still running. Mm-hmm. The old man had the magic touch, man. He had the magic touch, and he knew exactly what channels were going to drive business and who to do business with and how to do it. And Baccarat's very, very important to our company, and especially to our factory in Honduras as well.
Yeah, Sal was a real people's person, man. That's why.
Yeah, it was.
So, anyways, let's talk, man. We've had news over the last while. I mean, obviously, I'm going to bring out the elephant in the room first, get it out of the way. But
what's that? Me going into the cannabis business?
Yes, rumors started flaring like a month ago. You were leaving Davidoff to start growing.
I'm not leaving anywhere. No, man, that's not true.
You have any idea that got out there?
I have no idea, but I saw Sam Morales. I saw, some news of Sam Morales going to join a cannabis company a couple days ago. So I don't know if that somebody confused me with him or what the hell's going on. But I'm here.
There have been a series of pretty high-level cigar executives that have left the cigar industry and have gotten either into the vape or the CBD or CBD sector. From major companies. So for that news to come out, it really wasn't like it's impossible.
Yeah, it didn't sound crazy.
Right, it's not crazy, but it just came out of left field. I had no warning, and I've been waiting for like the last month or so because this is an industry where like a lot of things are just off the wall rumor, like Rocky Patel becoming the president of Davidoff. Right? No, that was a true real thing.
That was a real thing.
But that was like a rumor that went on for like a year. But that ended up being a real thing that Davidoff. Peter Benninger at the time was president, right?
Yeah, Peter. Yep.
They were having private talks with Rocky about becoming the next president of Davidoff, and it would leak. It would leak out there, and then everybody would deny it, and then it would end the conversations, and then it would strike back up again.
Wow.
All right.
I think the final nail in the coffin was, I think, the story as it goes. It was at one of the trade shows, and they had gotten a suite or a room in private in some name, and they were supposed to have closed doors meetings to work this deal out. And of course, everybody starts talking about it on the show floor the next day, right?
Right.
And that was the end of that. But I mean, in retrospect, probably the best thing that ever happened to Rocky that never happened. But his company ended up taking off and going gangbusters after that. So this was before Rocky was what he was today. He had run Indian Tobacco for years. The brand didn't really go. He was maybe, I don't know if he had transitioned yet into Rocky Patel or not, or was just.
I don't think so. I think at that time it was right around that time period.
Yeah, it was right in between
going from Indian Tobacco to RP. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the year it fell apart, the next year Rocky Patel was on the horizon at the trade show. So right during a transition, either that year or the year next. But yeah, so rumors in this industry, were like Drew Estate selling. I mean, those were rumors for a while that Drew Estate selling. And everybody in denial, right?
Oh,
I mean, even
we've been sold 100 times too,
right?
So,
And then the press release, I mean, they were denying it up until like 30 days, and then the press release 30 days later, Drew Estate sold. So, I wasn't sure how to take it. So I've been watching and listening to see if there was anything coming out, but it's been crickets since that was out. So
it was.
I'm not going anywhere. I love this company. I love this business, and to be honest, some of those interesting emerging categories, if there is interest in that, maybe it's done here at Davidoff.
If you should have just started walking around with a black T-shirt with a marijuana leaf on it.
But who's to say that I don't?
That's true. So, we put that elephant to rest because I know that was going to be a big question that people wanted to hear, and now we know that. I guess somehow the rumor got out there, but you aren't. As far as you're concerned, the official statement is you're not going anywhere. You're here to stay at Davidoff.
I'm here to stay. Like I said, I love the company. I love the family that I work for. Most people, I don't know if they know that we are a family-owned business. I think there's a lot of interesting things on the horizon for our company. I mean, we've been working on a lot of transformative things within our business. That most people don't get to see on the outside, but it's exciting times for us. We are a little bit bigger of a ship. So some of these transformative pieces will take a little bit of time to come out, but we've been hard at work, and I'm here to see it through.
Very cool.
That's good to know. That's why Coop doesn't believe in rumors, for that exact reason.
Good job, Coop. No teasers.
I want to talk about something, and I don't want to get beat up on it because there's been a lot of talk about the PCA, right? But you were one of the big four that stepped out of the PCA. And when I look at systematically the company structures of those involved, Davidoff was the one company that didn't really fit the structural profile that these other companies had of having big mass market sides and whatnot. I mean, Davidoff has cigarettes or rights to cigarettes. And
Separate company.
Okay, so it's a separate company, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't quite see how Davidoff related with these other companies in that stance. And I don't know if you can, but if you want to kind of maybe take this moment to kind of talk behind why Davidoff took this stance. Because, I mean, for me, Davidoff is more of a premium brand than the other three companies that were involved in that decision. And I just kind of trying to figure out how your piece fit in that puzzle.
So it's kind of an interesting buildup, right? And hopefully this will make a lot of sense. And I mean, you kind of started out the show with, talking about how we only have, 200 appointed merchants out there in the United States, right? So if and I can give you my side. I won't give a perspective for the other three companies because they all had their independent reasons for, coming to that decision. But for us, I mean, just, in honestly, the way that the trade show was heading, right? And the way that the industry to a degree has also been heading, doesn't necessarily fit our everyday model because of the exclusive distribution of Davidoff. So if you think of the trade show and what happens on a trade show floor outside of showing new products and connecting with customers and whatnot, it's about deals, right? It's about deals. And, our company is just not one to deal You know, we're not out there with big discounts.
But you're not out there with white labels in specific. But you're
even our core products, even our other core products.
The portfolio of Davidoff has expanded greatly over the years with Macho and Cusano, and those aren't as selectively distributed as white label brand. Isn't that part of the representation of being at a trade show?
Yeah, but the majority of business, the idea is not to hinge your business on the 1 week, right? And so, you know, we're not out there giving buy three, get ones. We're not giving, 25% off specific products. So, that aspect of the trade show for us, didn't make a lot of sense. In fact, that's stuff that we've been wanting to get away from, for a fair amount of time, right? And you've seen that with, a number of the relaunches that we've done with specific brands, where we actually pulled and reined in commercial policy to be even stronger than it was before. So that's one piece of it.
Can I just, before you go to your second part, I just want to talk about that one piece again, because you're right in that model, but also look at a company like Padron, who's notoriously known for never, ever having a deal ever, ever, under any circumstance. They're at the show every year, and they go and they meet and they greet, and not only does this family not have deals, they don't even come out with new stuff like the standard of the industry, right? I mean, if Padron comes out with something new, it's like decades, right, in between. You don't feel there's just a need to be present at the show, or do you feel there's an ancillary benefit to the presence of a trade show other than just sales?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's kind of where I was going to go with my second point. The actual structure of the trade show, right? You think about it. You spend 7 figures to put up these fortresses out in the middle of Las Vegas, and you hope that people come, right? You hope that people walk through the door so you can talk to them and you can have those relationships and conversations and whatnot. That has been on a steady decline for a number of years, right? But the costs continue to rise, and I believe wholeheartedly, and this is, stuff that, when the 4 companies, reached out to the PCA to kind of talk about, the 2020 show and kind of moving forward, we wanted to know what were the transformative things that they were going to do, right? To take this industry gathering into the future, right? And honestly, what we heard was more of the same. To spend in excess of $1 million a year for more of the same as, the attendance and excitement continues to decline. I think that there are many better ways to spend your money, right? Where you could do similar things, right? Where you can engage with consumers, because, as you said, many shows go after the PC announcement, right? It is all about the consumer in the end. So that's what we did. We decided to redirect those funds. And then, of course, within 45 days, the pandemic hits, and guess what? We're prepared, because we knew we were going to this trade show. We had already started to modify plans, and, the pandemic happened, and we were prepped for that, which for us was not that the pandemic was good, but, for us, we had everything set in place.
Now, you don't have to share this. I'm just curious myself. Was the decision made with the intent that this was never going to be looked at again, or was the decision made that this is something that we will look at year to year and see if there are any changes that may want us to be back involved in a trade show?
Yeah, but why does it have to be a trade show?
Okay,
you know what I mean?
A trade. Well, do you think there's a need for a trade organization?
I think there's a need for a trade organization. I think that there's a need for an industry gathering, 100%. But I also believe that model has.
You don't think that gathering should involve the selling and the showing of new product?
I don't think it has to. I think companies are able to run their business. I mean, look at Apple's developer conference, right? I mean, all the hype is built, all the education. You have nearly 5,000 people that show up at this, at this event, every single year. Right. And it's Apple talking and showcasing the new products. It's, the folks that are involved in the economy that they've created with the App Store. Right. So people coming in and talking about product demos. engineers educating developers on things, and then the selling happens after that. And that's ultimately where I believe that this industry can go, right? I think that, there could be major transformation to how the industry gets together and building that type of product showcase, to where, it's also exciting for consumers as well. And you can invite them into it. They don't necessarily physically have to be there, right? But, I think that we're able to cast a much wider net. And, honestly, I think companies are allowed to, to handle commerce the way that they want to within and out the year. I mean, I also think the timing aspect of it is horrible. I mean, the mid-July, timing is very tough for our business. And if you think of it, in parallel to some other industries, right, that are heavily dependent on seasonality and whatnot, like, the golf show, right, the PGA show. When is that?
Not in July.
I think it's January.
It's January.
Winter.
Yeah.
It's January, right? Because they're prepping for the upcoming golf season. They're showing all of the new wares well ahead of, time, and they allow months and months of excitement. And companies are able to do what they want. It doesn't necessarily have to be a sale conducted on that trade show floor. And I think that's where it ultimately needs to evolve to.
I don't think a lot of people would disagree with you. I'm sure it would be 50-50, but I get what you're saying. I mean, I've never been to the trade show though, so I wouldn't know. But Abe, you haven't gone in several years either. You don't necessarily think that the sale of the cigars is the benefit of it, correct?
No, look. For me, it's not the reason to go. So they need to find a way to make reasons to go, but I definitely think it's a good time where I don't have to have 80 companies come visit me, and I could walk around, see what's new, and hear about what's new,
right.
In a cool setting. So I do think it's part of the experience. It's just that you need other reasons to go, and they, in my opinion, haven't quite mapped that part out yet.
And if think of another aspect of this too, right? For the industry, we don't have big media. Right? We don't have these massive media platforms to get consumers engaged and excited, and that's ultimately what that organization could put together, right? That's what it could become. And I think that, to me, that will be one of the key salvations to our industry, and what will allow it to prosper is, the more consumers that we can get involved and excited about cigars, right? The more education and knowledge that can be transferred to them, the bigger net that we could cast as an industry as a whole, right? Why keep it so limited? Why keep it to just 1 week out of the year, right? This could happen, it could be something that happens multiple times throughout the year.
So speaking along those lines, Dylan, because your background's obviously in marketing, going from, you've worked in other industries before, correct? In marketing?
Correct.
So going from that into, I'm in digital marketing in my day job as well. This is a whole different animal. So, I mean, I kind of think I know where you're going with this discussion. Is you don't have any of the mass media options that you have with almost every other brand that's out there. So
without a doubt. Yeah.
So is this a solution? Bringing consumers into something like this, where you're saying this is the vehicle that you use, or that others can use to bring notoriety to their brand to the consumers? I mean, are there?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, if you think of the developers conference, right? It's basically a big stage, right? If you're a small brand, right, and you really want to make an impact, I mean, it's going to cost you in excess of $1 million to go out there and build a 8,000 square foot booth. Right? You don't have that type of money, but maybe there's 1 year, right, that you really want to double down, and you want to be the one that's able to get up on stage and at this, let's say this type of event that we're painting here, right, and take the keynote spot. You could do it, and I think that's important. Is that you're letting go a lot of these old kind of ways and old structures and stuff like that, and using media as an actual vehicle to help catapult this industry forward and your brand within it, right? And I think that's important. And think of also the evolution of the past couple of years, right? the PCA didn't even let, the media in the treatment of media in the PCA, right? It was like they were like kind of like the enemy, and then it was like, all right, maybe we'll let them in. We kind of see the benefit, and then it evolved to where it was now. And I think that's important.
You're getting Coop fired up.
I was on the board the year we made that vote. That was my first year on the board of the IPCPR back then.
Yeah. And listen, I am, even though we pulled away from the show, I'm my heart's in this business. I kind of talked about how I started. I was 23 years old when I came in this business. I'm 39 now. Spent a good portion of my life in it. I want to see it prosper. And if any of them want to pick up the phone, and sit there and have a conversation about where we can take this. I did that in September. I was in the basement of Madison Avenue in our store. I had a couple of the executive board members of the PCA call me up and they said, hey, sounds like you're out. What do you think needs to change? I gave them my thoughts. I'm here and I'm here and I'm ready to help, and I'm ready to help evolve it.
So it sounds like the door's not fully closed on if you guys will ever go back.
It's fully closed. It stays in the format it's in, probably.
Yes. I have no interest in a trade show. I have no interest in a trade show. I want to be able to conduct my business the way that I want to, right? Not confined to just a week, not confined to spending all this money on a physical structure, hoping that people show up. And in addition to that, if the industry started to invest in this type of platform, this is something that will have equity for us for years, right? As things start to go dark, right, we will have our own platform that we've created that is forward-looking, right, dependent on technology, right, and we can cast a much wider reach than just having this closed event that maybe a couple of folks are able to go out there and broadcast out. And it's all crammed. I mean, you think about the media guys, right, during that week, talking to like Charlie and Coop and all these guys. I mean, these guys run themselves ragged during that entire week. And all of the content and news and everything is all packed into that 1 week. I mean, if you're a consumer, it's overload. It's overload. I mean, there's ways to do it with much better progression. And not only that, but it's also, if you think of the burden on retailers, right? And Abe, you know this more than anybody else, right? The same cycle over and over again, and you're probably much better much better at managing your cash than some of the smaller retailers out there. But if they don't go out there and buy within this specific time period, right? They've lost out on a greater part of the excitement. Right. And it's not necessarily easy on managing cash when you're sitting there and you're cramming, and every single manufacturer is cramming product into your store at the same time. So think about that aspect as well.
Yeah.
So if the trade show attracted 5,000 retailers and lined up, would you still feel disinterested?
To me, it doesn't matter because I can conduct commerce on my own terms.
Okay. Just curious.
I don't
want to throw that out there.
I don't need the mass, right?
Oh, it's a different model.
Different model.
Absolutely. All right. With that, hey, let's take a short break. We're going to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be back with more with Dylan Austin of Davidoff USA.
Hey everyone, Susan Giorgio here.
South Florida.
Hi, I'm Tom Stroud.
Hey, it's Stephen Martin coming to you from Seattle, Washington.
Hey everybody, I'm Jennifer True.
Hey everyone, this is Alex Ryan.
I'm a poker player, a dominoes player, a world traveler.
I like to go sailing, hit the golf course, and drink some wine.
I am a mother, I am a content creator.
I'm also a husband, a father, and someone who really enjoys great cigars.
Enjoying a Monte Cristo. In fact, the 50th anniversary Monte Cristo, special limited edition.
My favorite cigar, Monte Cristo Epic.
Please take this opportunity to smoke one of our amazing Monte Cristo cigars, the Monte by Monte being my personal favorite.
I am Monte Cristo.
I am Monte Cristo.
I am Monte Cristo.
We are Monte Cristo.
Surgeon General warning. Tobacco smoke increases the risk of lung cancer and heart disease, even in non-smokers.
And you're back.
And welcome back KMA Talk Radio, broadcasting live here on the Facebook. I am Adam K. the Brewmeister. We are here on what is hopefully still a sunny South Florida day, but is hopefully going to get worse. With me, of course, the man, the myth, Mr. Honest Abe.
Good afternoon, or good morning, or whatever it is. I've had a long week.
Oh, yeah. And, of course, live from his mother-in-law's basement, Mr. Paul DeGracco. Paul, is the pipe dripping on you today?
No, but I should show you this. Let me just do this. This is the pipe that was dripping on me. Look at this. So my mother-in-law, they have a gorgeous house, but they've just neglected their basement. Look at what I'm surrounded by down here. A broken chair, a dehumidifier in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of space to work with here.
Is that where they make you sleep at night?
No, the reason why we stay at my mother-in-law's so much is my parents have a big house too, and they're only 3.5 miles away. But she has a giant. I mean, I'm talking like as big as my first apartment room for guests here, and it's probably like 600 square feet. Like it's huge. This huge room. So we have both kids in there. We have a queen size bed in there. There's a bathroom right outside. Like it's like staying in a hotel up there. And at my parents' house, the rooms are smaller, but there's more of them. So we kind of we have to split up in different rooms. And my parents still have the beds that we grew up with in their house. So I'm sleeping on the mattress I grew up on, on a twin bed, which I haven't slept in. Even when I had an apartment in New York, I had a queen size mattress. So it's like going back in time. Like, what am I doing with my life? So that's why we're here. But I want to get to, there's a couple of comments and questions that we have. The first one for Dylan. Dylan, everyone is asking about your, they're calling it an ascot. Yeah, what is the deal?
It's just a bandana. It's funny. So with all these mandatory masks and everything going on, I always forget my damn mask. So, I've been kicked out of a fair amount of places that, I just didn't think about bringing a mask in. And so this, I kind of keep around my neck just in case, I do forget it. I've got something there. So it's an interesting fashion statement.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
well,
that explains
you are
it.
a man to do interesting fashion statements.
Thank you.
And then this might be a controversial question, so I don't know. But we've had one of our listeners did an Ask KMA hashtag. So if why they're asking, why did Davidoff up their prices right after announcing they weren't going to PCA?
I think, unless I'm wrong, I think Davidoff ups their prices every year like clockwork.
That's it. Every single year.
That was just the normal time. Okay.
Yeah, I think every year like clockwork we get a price increase on an annual basis.
Yeah, we do. Certain products, are sometimes left off the list. So we'll actually skip a year with certain products and then, take on others, and then the year after we'll kind of flip it. So, yeah, it's all based on.
So it had nothing to do with the trade show or the announcement.
No, it had nothing to do with the trade show.
Okay.
No.
Perfect.
Yeah. Every January, my life gets ruined because everybody wants to increase their prices right then.
Well, that's just business. That's how it goes.
We do it just for you, Adam.
I know. Thank you. I appreciate it greatly. Yeah. Great. Yeah.
And then you have to work. You have to work with Carlos and figuring out how to reprice everything, which is fun.
Oh yeah, gotta love it. Gotta love working with Carlos. Thank you. Yes. So anyway, before we got on, we were talking about how excited you were that basketball was back. And
man,
the Heat are playing today. You're a big Heat fan of playing. Yeah. So what got you to be a Heat fan?
He's a Miami guy.
I'm from Miami.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that.
Duh.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Not aware.
One of my favorite things to do is sit there and watch and do nothing, zone out and watch Miami Heat basketball. I've always been a fan, and we had a number of really great years, since 2003 with Wade coming on, and then in 2006 with the Big Three, it was
2007 they won the title with Shaq.
2006 was the first title with Shaq. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
And then with with LeBron and Bosh and all those guys, and now they've got another really interesting team getting some stuff done for them with some interesting young talent. So
absolutely,
exciting.
Butler's been reborn, and he's been a phenomenal add-on. And hey, he's
a lot of great rookies and guys. I mean, I love Miami Heat basketball because it's they are so defensive minded. I am a firm believer that defense in sports definitely wins championships, and these guys are scrappy when it comes to playing defense, and I love it.
Not to mention they got my boy undrafted Duncan Robinson in the starting lineup. The number one. Oh yes, the boy can shoot the rock.
Top 3-point shooters in the league.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
So glad
it's succeeding. It's amazing how quickly that kid pulls the trigger, man.
Oh, yeah. I've known it. Hey, he went to Michigan. I know. I watched him all the way through college. Yeah. Kid's been phenomenal. I'm glad he's doing really well.
Abe and I are just chilling.
You guys don't do the sports?
Not basketball. I'll watch football, and I used to work in baseball, so it's kind of ruined it for me. I guess it's kind of like being a butcher. Once you see the guts, you kind of get disinterested. But I want to go back to the marketing discussion, Dylan, because I mean, obviously that's been your forte for many years. I'm just curious at what do you think the future is of marketing to your consumers? Like, I mean, you can't really. Can you advertise on Google at all?
No.
Is there? So you can't advertise on Google. You can.
No Google, no Facebook, no Instagram. That's a big challenge for our industry, man. And I mean, ultimately, it's going to be one-to-one direct to the consumer.
So what do you think the future is of that? Like, how do you reach those people?
We have to bring them into the fold, right?
Okay.
You've got to be able to bring them into the mix, and e-commerce for us has been a big driver of new consumers, as our stores are as well. So building that one-to-one kind of communication with those folks, is important. And then also, one of the things that I think we do extremely well, is delivering tools to you guys, right? In retail and, developing campaigns and the resources for you guys to be able to talk to your consumers as well.
Go ahead, Adam.
Oh no, Paul, continue.
No, I'm just so curious. Go ahead.
So I got a question for you.
Abe's going in. I can feel it coming on.
Well, look, there's certain things, it's really funny because like guys like me, Jonathan, Dylan, who really are, even Christian, we interacted a lot early in our careers. And as we got more professional and our businesses grew, we don't talk as much like we used to. I mean, it's like we seldom do. And one of the things that I just really wanted to personally kind of discuss with you, if you're open to have a discussion about it, because I really didn't see Davidoff really kind of, unless I missed it, which is totally possible, have a discussion about some of the debate and heat that happened after the Avo Unexpected series.
Right.
I was a little taken aback by it, and I was a little bit shocked. I think in theory, me personally, as a retailer and a consumer looking at that Avo Unexpected series, right, I think it was a legitimate experiment in which how people who've gotten away from brands, like one of the things that I do with my Cigar of the Month Club is I always like to throw in a brand that I know is a classic that people have loved, but with all the new stuff, you just forget about it. It doesn't go in your rotation. Yeah. Right. You haven't tried it for 10 years and you tried again. You're like, holy cow, why have I stopped smoking the cigar? So I believed in the legitimacy of the experiment, right? And trying to open consumers to, hey, it's time for you to go back maybe and not always look for the new things and try to revisit some of these old classics that you used to enjoy and have forgotten about. But, I think the stance publicly they were a little slighted about it because they felt they were buying into something, because Avo and Davidoff have always had limited projects, right? It's been kind of those things that people looked forward to every year and they would buy into and scramble to get them before they were gone. And obviously, after the live event where they talked that the Unexpected series was just, 4 of your typical lines repackaged, there was some heat. There were some manufacturers, there were some retailers that were, getting rid of the boxes at cost, getting them off their shelves or whatever. And it's really funny because I've been in the position in life where I never expected, I get blindsided, right? I never even thought that some position would be taken that way, right? Like for me personally, like when we did Sindicato, right? I thought Sindicato, when I got involved with Sindicato to start a manufacturing company that was owned, or at least, partially owned by a bunch of top retailers in the country whose input I thought would be brilliant in helping making good, solid brands, because we deal with consumers every day. I didn't even anticipate the heat that we got from other manufacturers. Like other manufacturers got livid. I didn't even see that coming. Was that even a possibility? There's a new brand day. So, I mean, were you guys kind of blindsided by that, or did you think that, this might happen, but we believe in the experiment?
No, and I appreciate you bringing it up, because I know it's something that folks have been wanting to talk about for a while. And I think the way it started is exactly the way you said it, right? So it was a campaign that was designed. We had just come off the back of Avo 30th, literally the biggest, most benchmark year we've ever had in Avo. I mean, absolutely just amazing year. Not only celebrating 30 years of this brand, but also the return of some really amazing products, right? So, repackaged Avo Maduro, Avo 22, a bunch of the iconic kind of holy grail products, from the Avo portfolio. And this stuff had been in the works. So you had Avo Pass, we had Avo 30th, coming on the horizon. And the idea with Unexpected was a return, right? It was returning people's interest towards the core products, pulling away some of the preconceived notions and whatever the case was. And actually, that was going to be the catapult for a new positioning for the brand, right? So we were going from this platform of savor every note, to live in the unexpected, which if you read all of the DNA that was actually created, and where that kind of started and whatnot. It was actually a pretty unique positioning, I think, that really played an ode to who the man was and how he lived his life with spontaneity, and never had preconceived notions about people or situations or whatever the case is. Without a doubt, there was the understanding that there was risk. And not to make excuses, but there was a number of things happening within our company that I personally, because it happened on my watch, will take responsibility for it. But, where I got, distracted and did not necessarily pay attention to the campaign as I probably should. So we knew there was risk. And honestly, I think our biggest mistake, right, was that dojo show. Right? I had a bad gut feeling about that. I told my guys that, I have a great team of marketers. I mean, look at our track record over the past decade plus. I mean, we've done some really transformative things with our brands and with our business. And unfortunately, I mean, it was a swing and a miss, right? We didn't get to finish the campaign, so we actually we shut it off at that point. I wish we would have been able to have finished it, because I think it would have been fun. I agree with you, and I think it's big of you to even say the phrase "it was a mistake," because most people don't like to even say something was a mistake. I agree with you. I think in essence it was a great campaign. I think the execution. And tell me what you think about this. Had it been released as just the Avo experiment and not telling any people anything, instead of trying to make it off as a new brand or a new limited edition, just call it the Avo experiment with no details, not telling anybody what it was, and let everybody go out there and make their own assumptions. I think the error was made in directing it as a limited special brand, new brand. 100%. And this is where words become very important, right? And I mean, you could have one guy give an interview and say the word new, right? And the connection's built right back to that. Right. And that happened, and that was something that it was an honest mistake from certain folks. But listen, like I said, we've got a brilliant team of young marketers, and I think it was an absolute learning experience for our company. The word limited edition, right? Honestly, you will not find coming back into Avo language ever again, unless it is a true.
Well, I mean, because but
it was, and it was a learning. It was a learning on how to deal with media as well. And one of the things that came out right after that dojo interview, and I just remember having a sick feeling in my stomach as I was watching it. And I told my guys after, I said, listen, you've got to take this stuff serious, because there was a lot of joking that happened on that interview. And I think that the impression that gave, right, which was then taken and used against us, was that, oh, look, these people don't care, they're laughing at you, which is absolutely not the case.
Right.
I mean, I think we are a company, and we're a company and a house of brands with integrity, right? And that's something that we can never lose, right? And if we behave in a different way, we need to recognize it and recenter ourselves. And I think that exactly was what happened with Yagua Unexpected. It was an awareness that we built for ourselves, going forward, of what not to do ever again.
Yeah, I think nobody on that show realized in that moment, and that's why it looked so light, of the depth of what was happening in the moment, right? Because, like I said, I think the merit of the experiment, as I would like to call it was sound and really good. I thought it would have been very interesting. I think the execution and how it came out in the end kind of hurt a really good idea in the process. And then what I found very interesting afterwards, right? Because look, what that did was expose the ability of how easy it is to say, hey, we got something limited that really wasn't limited. And what I found very surprising was this happened on a Friday night. Monday, you guys released a press release for 20 new Davidoff limited editions. I was like, why didn't you guys wait at least 2 or 3 months?
Yeah,
a month or so. It came off Monday. So was that a disconnect, or was that
on purpose? It's because it was unfortunately, being an international company and different time zones and stuff like that.
It was in the queue.
That was in the queue from the global standpoint, right? This happens on Friday. That comes out on Monday.
Right? It's like,
going, wow. Oh man, yeah. So yeah, that we were unable to unfortunately reel that in.
How's that? I mean, look, I've been on a roller coaster ride with the Avo band throughout my career. When I first got in the business, actually, Avo was probably my first brand that became a regular, one of my regular go-tos. I mean, my first cigar was a Royal Jamaican when it was still being made in Jamaica, right?
I still have one of those in my humidor, believe
it
or not.
But, in my early days, I would experiment a lot. I think Avo became one of those first, like, oh, this is gonna be my staple cigar, right? I always, no matter what I go and buy, I'm always gonna grab an Avo or some Avos. And when I got in the business, then officially, it was a strong brand. I mean, it just sold all day long. And then there was a period there where it died on the brick and mortar level, and it became a very kind of more of a mainstream internet discounted brand. And I remember the year at the trade show where that turnaround, they like to make that turnaround happen, where they were revamping the lines, they were discontinuing some of the lines, repackaging some of the lines. And I remember your booth that year, you had a bunch of
all decked out. Yeah.
Not just that, you had a bunch of retailers blown up around. Yeah. You're trying to build the relationship back, and I was actually one of those retailers, and I actually got that big Lexan thing, and I made a window sign that hung in our West Palm Beach location for years. From the Davidoff booth that year. But then it had a resurgence, and ever since then, it's really built itself back up as a brick and mortar brand. And do you think that Avo Unexpected did any damage to that, or
no, not at all?
Of course, all right, good.
I mean, we've grown dramatically this year. I mean, 19 was a tough year for us in general. And it relates a lot to what you're talking about. I mean, we had this just benchmark 2018. You had, Davidoff 50th. We celebrated 2 major milestone anniversaries. I mean, our company hit, our revenues were all-time high in 2018. 2019, you had some interesting stuff happening, in the mail order business, right? And just the industry in general as well, because the industry in 18 saw about 10% import growth. Right. And you started to sit there and say, well, where the hell is this coming from? Right. And then 2019, you see this dip that back down. In addition, you had, some stuff that was happening with some of the mail order guys really trying to press, certain companies and whatnot. And, we were just one of those guys that just said, hey, listen, we're just not going to deal with that. We're going to do business the way that, that we always have. And even if that means that we're going to lose a couple $1 million, it's fine. We're going to stick to our guns.
So since we've been talking about Avo, since you worked with him for a good long time before he passed, what's your best Avo story you can actually tell on the Facebook?
I know lots of them. I know lots of them. But I actually didn't have too much contact with Avo. I mean, Avo was pretty much in Orlando. He had a couple of guys that were always with him. We had Eddie Simon, who's now our CMO, that spent a lot of time traveling all over the country with Avo. And then Scotty Policer, that worked with me for a number of years, still works with us. He kind of took that spot over from Eddie. My best Avo story, man, I think was, going back to his 90th birthday when we did a party at, the place escapes me, the Carnegie Club in New York. Mm-hmm. And just watching the energy, he was 90, right? And he was starting to get, a little frail, and, he was tired all the time. And, and just watching this man come alive, when he walked in a room, and his birthday was so important to him. His birthday, was the day that Avo really got to shine and kind of be himself, especially in his later years. And, just that 90th party, and just I was sitting there watching him and the energy that came out of him. And I know he gave everything, right? Because Avo was always a showman, and, that night was no different. But just, thinking to myself, man, I hope when I'm 90, I have, the same level of energy that this man has. It's a pretty remarkable thing to see.
Adam, have you ever been to the Carnegie Club?
No, I've never been to New York.
Oh, right. Oh, you got to go. What a cool place.
Yeah, it's a cool spot. Cool spot. Yeah, and there's not many places in New York that you can, get a drink and have a smoke nowadays. So
there was one on the Upper East Side that was an amazing cigar bar, and they apparently closed it. I went when I first came home, maybe about a year ago, when I first came back up to New York, and it's just disappointing, because it was one of like 3 spots that I knew of, including the Carnegie Club, where they had a full bar. And you could smoke a cigar there. Those are dwindling. I think there's another one down in Soho called the Velvet Cigar Lounge.
Soho Cigar Bar?
Soho Cigar Bar, that's what it's called.
Bar and Books.
Oh, yeah.
You've got Club Mac. You've got, Grand Havana. But, outside of that, there's not many, man.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Adam. I forgot that you've never been to New York City and never plan on going ever, I'm assuming.
Not at this point in time.
It's safer there than it is in South Florida, as far as
no, it ain't. Stop your lies. It's not.
As far as COVID is concerned.
That's all baloney. Stop.
It is unbelievable, though. I mean, how rampant New York was, those first couple of months, and I mean, there's still not life on the streets. Our external counsel's in New York, and he's constantly sending photos of the streets in New York, and almost every time I talk to him, he's like, I'm looking out on such and such avenue. There's not a soul in sight.
Michael Herklock.
There are people down here who had appointments to go get tested, never showed up, and got an email. I know these people personally. It's not a story. Who got emails that said they tested positive. Everybody's being oh yeah. I got 2 different people that will tell you this story. Okay. One person was in line. It was 3 hours. They said screw it. They got out of line. They got an email the next week saying he tested positive. Never made it to take the test. Okay. And Julie has a friend. Exact same thing happened to them.
Wow.
The testing is rampant down here. Everybody's getting tested. So, and then if you're getting tested, right? If you're getting tested, you showed up positive, and you got to keep taking a test to go back to work until you're negative. And you go back again and you test positive. It's being counted as a new positive, right? But the bottom line is the deaths aren't anymore. The hospitals aren't the capacity. Well, Palms West by us is not even close. ICU's open, ventilators.
No, the deaths are very low in Florida. The percentage of deaths to positive.
The percent is, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So what is the threat? The virus is going to be
what's the cases? I mean, I'll tell you the scary thing is I was with my family on the beach maybe like 2 weeks ago. We went to Treasure Island, which is on the West Coast, and the amount of out-of-state license plates that I saw. I mean, we're importing folks, because people can't do anything, so they're coming here to Florida to go to the beach. And I mean, that Clearwater Beach, St. Pete Beach, Treasure Island, all of those places, the hotels are jam-packed.
Yep.
Jam-packed, and the beaches are jam-packed. I don't know what it's like in South Florida down by you guys, but
look, the bottom line is I'm not against mitigating risk and being smart, but I'm against the bullshit hype, right? There was a doctor, a Florida-based doctor who's got a medical center, who did a video with his daughter talking about how, first off, all these places, and there's a lot of places that are showing a 100% positive rate. He goes, that's impossible. I'm a doctor. I'm telling you that's impossible, right? And he goes, any of these hospitals that are claiming they're at capacity, it's not at capacity because of the facility. They're at capacity because they all underwent major layoffs, right?
Right.
So their staffing is at 50%. So they're at capacity based on their reduced staffing number. He goes, a lot of this news out there is just not, I mean, I don't see it. I mean, are there positives? Yeah. I mean, I know a few people who got positive. They were sick for a week and then they're fine. And that's what the flu does. That's what illness does. You know, I just think it's over dramatized, just like everything else, just like a major hurricanes are. It's just the way of the world now. You know, it's
Dylan, have you traveled?
I have not. You know, and I'll tell you our situation. We've been working remote for since basically end of March. So, and that's, you know, it's kind of interesting, and it's forced you to open your eyes. It's forced people to do things I think that you know they never thought were positive or possible. And I think honestly, I think the business dynamics are going to change for a long time.
Does it question your need for a Pinellas Park?
100%. Yeah, I mean, we've got 160,000 square feet.
Wow.
Right.
You know what I mean? I honestly, I'm looking for a new office. I don't need 160,000 square feet. I maybe need 6, 7, 8,000 square feet for an office, and then, you know, we'll find a smaller warehouse somewhere else. I mean, you know, there's just no sense. You know, and I'm sure there's a lot of folks that are in, you know, similar predicament. But you know, I think the muscle that we've built and the ability, you know, to progress in this environment, you know, allows us to look at these types of changes and you know, virtualizing our business even further. I mean,
but you know what? I think that's some fallacy that a lot of business people have convinced themselves, and it'll change. And I'm going to tell you why. It's not always about sense. Nobody needs to have a 40,000 square foot house. Okay, why do they have a 40,000 square foot house? Because they became successful, and they can't. So look, I mean, a company like Davidoff, as much as dollars and Y's make sense, I don't see them having a 6,000 square foot office space. It's because there's a level of prestige of what the brand means and what you accomplished. And, you know, eventually that's going to come back to play. No one's going to want to walk into because we don't need the space anymore, a humble little office when you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar international conglomerate of a company. That's an unrealistic standard. While fiscally sound, it makes 100% sense. I just don't see that happening long term.
Yeah,
I'm hearing a lot of that chatter. Right? Can you imagine an investment firm that handles billions of dollars of people money, and they want to attract another billionaire, and they walk into a 3,000 square foot little office with a couple guys in a cubicle because it's fiscally sound? It's not going to happen long term.
Hey, I didn't say it was a shitty 6,000 square foot office.
Come on, Dylan. Your office now is about 1,500 square feet.
Come on, man. Mine. Come on. No, I mean, yeah, it's. I mean, honestly, it's. You know, it allows a lot more flexible kind of working arrangements for folks as well, which I think is you know, kind of more modern. And I think that's, you know, the way that I wanted, if I could blueprint and just literally go to town on building a new space, you know, I want folks, you know, to have an environment that you know, drives creativity and they want to be at. You know, as well, having the ability to work from home and to come in and you know, make an impact in the office as well.
We've had a portion of our team work at home. A lot of it is graphics and web and IT. I'm just going to tell you something that I've experienced. The productivity isn't the same. There's a lot of miscommunications, and you don't catch it on the fly because you're not around each other. There's a lack of bounce. Look, there's a certain creativity process that exists just being exposed to people, not just getting on a Zoom
100%.
Throughout
the creative side, sure.
Where we just get on a sidetrack and we start talking about something and come up with a cool idea. That's gone. Now I get a report twice a day from a guy working at home. That's my interaction with him. So
yeah. And I'll tell you one thing. One of the ways to get out of that, right? And agreed. I think the face to face, and we still go in the office. I mean, we still have folks coming in and working together. And as I mentioned, we've got a fair amount of things going on. I think one of the key things for companies is to get out of the inbox, man. It's one thing that I hate more than anything else. Is email? Behind email. Oh,
dude, I have not asked Adam.
I hate it.
I have not used email in 2 years, 3 years maybe now. Going on 3 years. I don't use email. I don't give out email. I have a company email. My assistant skims through what any correspondence that I need to read, puts it on my desk, and it's been the best 3 years of my life not dealing with emails.
Yeah, I absolutely hate living in inbox. I mean, you've got stuff like Microsoft Teams, you've got Zooms, you've got traditional phone, all that type of stuff.
Yeah. Email.
And, I've been fortunate. My team has, they've really taken to this extremely well, and they've maintained productivity. They've increased productivity. We've got a finance team, working remote. I mean, normally these guys are these are folks that have to be together in most cases to get stuff done, and they've done a remarkable job. I mean, the only staff that we've got that's full time in is operations. We very luckily never skipped a day because of the pandemic, right? Never skipped a day. We didn't have any scares. All of our employees have been safe, and we've been able to put protocols in place to keep the folks that do come in every single day, which are our operations folks, also safe. And it's been a blessing. I mean, that's one thing that I'm very happy about.
Emails for me is like the equivalent of the Pony Express.
Yeah,
it just seems like such an archaic way to communicate.
You're ruining my business. You're going to put me out of business if you don't use email.
Don't worry, your mother-in-law's got a basement for you.
80% of my business is email marketing.
Okay, look, I'm talking about mostly interbusiness communication, right? For consumers, I still got to get emails. I still need my passwords longer. But for me, interacting in a company, the day we stopped using intercompany emails and changed to another platform, and who my operations guy, this is about maybe, 3 years ago, Adam?
Sounds about right, yeah.
2 years ago?
Yeah, 2.
I had already given up on email. I made my whole company drop emails. We don't even give emails to new guys when they come in, because that's how we used to communicate. And it was so slow and archaic, and guys wouldn't see it. We dropped email as a platform, went to an instantaneous type of platform, and my operations guy thought I was nuts. He's like, "This sucks. So I'm still going to use email." I'm like, "No, you're not." And he swears by it now. It's our best form of communication. And my company loves it, and it just becomes awesome and easy and instantaneous and interactive.
It's funny though. We were using those at marketing agencies and boutique agencies. I mean, when I first started in the business. So I mean, 10, 15 years ago, there were Copper Project and Teamwork and all that stuff. But for out of office, it was still all email, But you have to see it from. It's weird for me because you guys. Well, Dylan's not that much older than I am, but Abe, you saw a world without email, really. I've never worked in an environment that wasn't at its core, that the communication wasn't at its core email.
We did it. We did it here 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. It's instantaneous. And I know when people read it and they respond instantaneous. I don't got to worry if they check their email, if it went to spam, or if they missed the email. It's great. Love it. But our productivity rate has gotten so much better, and responsiveness rates from the team.
Coop is chiming in saying that texting sucks and Slack sucks. Slack is what the majority of advertising agencies use, Coop. It's proven effective for them, but it's the same as email. Like you may not pay attention to it. Because you got 16 different threads going at one time.
Well, speaking of Coop, is he around? Is he in
we can bring him on now, yeah.
Is he in the foyer? Is he in the garage?
I can't wait to see where he is. Hold on, let me bring him on.
We need to start a segment. We need to start. Wait, we should start a segment. Everybody's got to guess where Coop is.
Well, let's do it right now. Where do you think he is today? Before we bring him on.
Everybody start typing in where you think Coop is. We'll see who's right.
I think he's in the garage. I'm going to go to the garage.
I think he's in the salon. No, the library with the books. The library with the books.
I think he's in the garage, like Adam said, with the green screen behind him, with the virtual background of the dining room.
I say that. I think it was the butler in the library
with the candlestick.
Yes.
All right, get all your guesses in here as I'm bringing Coop on. You guys won't see him yet, but we'll know the answer. We just won't share it yet.
Yes. Let's see.
I can't. Oh.
Whoa.
All right, people are saying here come a bunch of. Coop is smoking today. Jack is saying a lot of people are saying the parlor. All right, we ready to bring him on?
Let me know when you bring him on.
William Cooper, where are you? You're on now.
Dude,
I can't believe
I am the champion.
You are the champion. Coop, can you hear us?
No, he looks lost. He gave us the finger.
He gave us the one finger up.
He gave us the finger.
All right, he'll just hang out there while he gets ready. Oh, he disappeared. He may have an audio problem.
Who called it?
You did call it.
Yep.
In the library.
In the library. It was, yes. It was
he loves
Mr.
that
Purple
library.
in the library with the candlestick.
This is going to be a fun game. I can't wait till next week. Paul, you should start keeping score to see who's right the most often.
All right, I'll keep a note. Let me try calling Coop back now.
Oh, no, he's there. I can see him there.
Oh, you
He's
see him?
shaking his head. He's giving us a thumbs down.
Yeah. Coop, you having problems?
How can a guy who broadcasts 52 times a week have a problem connecting to our Skype?
So while we're waiting for this, Dylan, have you picked up any new fun hobbies during the pandemic?
Woo! Buying stuff.
So a lot of Amazon purchases?
Oh man, yeah. Well, I haven't stepped into a grocery store in probably 8 months, longer than the pandemic. But I don't know. I got on this whole thing about buying hats, man. So like fedoras and stuff like that. And,
really, fedora?
Yeah, it's all Cam Newton's fault, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. So he and I met last year, and he sent me. I met him at his place in Atlanta, and he had all these crazy fedoras on the wall, the ones he wears to all the press conferences and whatnot. And I said, "Wow, man, those things are really a piece of art." And he says, "Yeah, I work with this company a lot, blah blah blah." And I said, "Oh, those things are amazing." And after I saw him at the Super Bowl, this past year, he sent me. One of these hats, and I mean they're absolute works of art. And since then I've been collecting fedoras from makers all over the world. I've got the guy in Amsterdam that I've been buying stuff from, another one in Australia, Denmark, and just kind of one of my weird kind of COVID quarantine things that I did, but doing a lot of working out as well on my end. So I've taken a lot of that time to just keep myself healthy.
Speaking of hats, I did notice that upon the official becoming president of Davidoff, the cuff got very, very tight.
Yeah.
I think that after you had a presidential haircut, I'm telling you, the haircut got very, very tight and very, very Europeanish, in my opinion.
No, I mean, I've been cutting my hair the same way for probably about 2 years. So,
how long have you been president?
Yeah, a year and.
I'm telling you, it was a presidential cut, man. I've known you a long time, man. It got tight. It got the cut became very Swiss. But it looks good. You're always looking.
It is starting to recede a little bit, and you probably can't tell the color, but I've got a nice gray coming in.
Are you getting the built? The gray is definitely there, but no, you looking good, my man, looking good.
Thank you.
All right, we have Coop on now. Coop, can you hear us?
Oh, he's muted.
Coop,
he's giving us the finger.
You have to unmute yourself, Coop.
Yep. No, I had a little bit of sound issues there. So.
Hey.
Loop, what's going on, buddy?
So guess who guessed
guys.
it right, Coop? Guess who guessed it right?
Yeah.
He did.
Great interview, guys, by the way. Dylan, great job this morning.
Thank you. What's going on, Coop?
All good.
Dylan definitely fielded some hardballs today, huh?
Oh, yeah.
They're not hardballs, man. It's just, it is what it is.
Well, he takes them in stride and answers them like a human being. It's not. It doesn't feel like he's towing a company line or anything. I think he was very honest and open with us, and we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So, Coop, what's going on in the news this week, buddy?
Man, if Coop grew a beard and wore dark rimmed glasses, I think I'd be seeing. I'm looking at double vision here on my screen.
What are you you think we look alike?
And in this setting on my screen, all Coop is missing is a little beard and dark rimmed glasses.
Well, I'm flattered.
I'm sorry, Coop. I didn't mean to insult you like that. Go ahead.
Okay. I guess one of the bigger news items this week in the world of COVID pandemic is one of the big consumer events that was scheduled has been canceled, and that is the Weasel Fest. Mm-hmm. It's been canceled for September. It looks like they're going to just go ahead and reschedule it for next year, 2021. But it's the latest in a string of events that has been canceled this year.
And have we not been calling it for weeks now?
I got to be honest on this. I was very shocked that Skip, who has a lot of comorbidities, was insisting on having this event. And then I don't know. I mean, all these people had to buy tickets and got their cigars, and then had to get flights. Some of these guys, whatever, and then cancel it. I think it was a tactical mistake on Skip's part.
They were pretty upfront that there was a possibility that it could be canceled out of their control, which I think is what happened here. Is they couldn't get guaranteed a permit, so people knew that going in there. That being said, the timing was really bad because they announced the event dates at the beginning of June, and that's just when this upswing started all over again, particularly in Texas. So it was bad timing. I want to say I think those guys really wanted to put on a great event for people, but it was just not the right time to do it.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, every other event's been canceled for the most part this year. I mean, there's a couple still that we were trying to find out the fate of, but my guess is those are going to be canceled as well.
It's a brave new world. So what else happened this week, Coop?
There's been product announcements this week from a bunch of companies. First one, Altadis. They are bringing the Vegafina 1998 cigar. It's a cigar that was released to Europe last year. That's going to be coming into the U.S. right now. It's actually a brand that we've covered on Coop. Vegafina is one that I do cover. One of the European brands I do spend time on. So I've had a chance to smoke that cigar. It's a little different than maybe those milder Vegafinas you're used to. But you can expect that cigar to be hitting the shelves in September. Price point $860 to $960. It's a little more of a premium offering. Vegafina has been more of a value price cigar. So that's one you could look forward to next month.
Okay.
CAO has announced their release for 2020. It's the CAO Bones. And in this one, pays tribute. I guess this year the theme is dominoes and dice, because Bones is a cigar meant to pay tribute to those games and basically smoke a cigar while you're playing those games. Interesting thing about those cigars is you're going to get a pair of dice with those that you can roll, I guess, on there. But Connecticut broadleaf wrapper, Connecticut shaped binder, and fillers from Honduras and Nicaragua. And that should be hitting the shelves this month in 4 sizes, Robusto, Toro, Churchill, Gigante. Kind of interesting with that one because Joya de Nicaragua last month announced their Shut the Box cigar, which is also a Domino's theme. So you're seeing a little bit of that going on this year.
Dice game, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
Gotta love copycatting.
I've kind of made the joke that I think Danny Moya and Nelson Ruiz is subvertly working at General Cigar. I made that joke last night. You chop suey, bones, and I don't know what, egg roll, all this stuff that's been coming out of there. That's kind of been like their shtick for a while. So I kind of made a joke last night that they're subvertly working there and nobody knows it.
Yeah, what did that? Dim Mac cigar. They had the rake,
pickle juice.
Yeah.
All this. The hand gripper. But yeah, they had all these weird little things. But General seems to has jumped on board that bandwagon. And speaking of events too, right? I mean, I love these guys, but these guys are having a pool party. It's going on today. I think it starts the Protocol pool party.
The Protocol pool party is today, they said.
Yeah, it is today.
Yeah. They got people wearing bands, red if you don't want nobody to go near you, green if you can get close, yellow if you want to hug or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They got wristbands.
All I know, Abe, is I got a picture from someone with the what was going on in the Smoke Inn Whereby room last night with some of those guys, and I didn't see any social distancing practiced. That's all I'm gonna say. Now you gotta put them all at a pool party. I mean, so good luck with that. Yeah.
Where is the event? Is it in Jersey or in Pennsylvania?
It's in Jersey. It's actually over towards the shore. It's by Wall Township.
Okay.
Again, I think these are guys who want to do something for their fans. Again, I just question the timing of it, with that.
I mean, technically, if they keep it under 50 people, they're allowed to do it.
Technically, they're allowed to do it. Yes. Is it the thing you should do? I mean, again, people have it. No one's forcing them. No one's forcing anyone to go to this either. Is what I'm gonna say.
Right.
If you don't feel like you don't want to go, don't go. But I think they sold a lot of the tickets for it. So I just hope everyone's okay and they have a good time. That's what I would look for there.
That's the best way to look at it.
Yeah.
What else we don't want going on, Coop?
Couple of things. Steve Saka, this kind of came out over the last week. It's not maybe new news, but folks may not be aware that there's 2 new sizes of the Mikurita Tricky Traca coming out right now. So Saka is adding a 7x64 Gigantes, and he's also adding a classic 6x52 Toro. And he says those 2 new sizes are expected to reach retailers this August, and those are the red-banded Mikuritas, which are an amped-up version of the original Mikurita.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Be fun to see when that happens. Anything else going on?
And then I think another thing that folks may have saw over the last week is J.C. Newman. They have a cigar called the Yagua that's going to be hitting stores this month. This is typical J.C. Newman. They announced something at a trade show, but it takes them about a year to get it to market. And that's actually, I don't think that's actually a bad thing sometimes, because they always make sure that they really have a good cigar when it's coming out. But this is a cigar basically that they are rolling without a mold right now, which is a technique that has been used. They use royal palm leaves to kind of keep the cigar together right now. But it's going to be a 6x54 Toro, and because these things are like not in a mold, they're going to have a lot of irregularities or differences. So no 2 cigars are going to look alike right now on that. Really cool old school presentation they're going to have with that. Total of 1,020 count boxes being produced. Again, another Connecticut broadleaf cigar over Nicaraguan binder and fill. And you're hearing about a broadleaf shortage, but a lot of broadleaf hitting the market this year still. So I'll go for you with that.
Cool. Anything else going on?
I think that's it. Yep.
That's enough.
What do we got going on? What do we got going on cigar-coop.com this week?
We're doing our 150th episode on the podcast. George Rico is going to be the guest that night, so pretty excited about that, hitting that milestone. Again, that's the kind of 150s. You guys have been doing it 387 actually. So excited about that. You can see we're going to have a review of Saka's NLM THA Lancero coming out this week, so you can look forward to that. The Macanudo Palladium's being reviewed. So we got a full cycle of reviews coming out as well.
Very nice.
Cool.
All right,
Paul,
since Coop's on.
Now might be a good time for you.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm gonna just, this is for the audience as well, everyone that's on the feed right now in the video as well. So we talked about I'm gonna preface this trivia question with I have a reason for bringing up this topic. I want to just briefly talk about it, but there are more than 144,000 of these, and I'll say moderate to low trafficked places throughout the U.S. What do you think those 144,000 places are?
Do we get to ask questions?
Yeah, you can ask questions.
All right. Does it have to do with transportation?
No.
Oh, that killed me right there.
Does it have to do with food?
No, it does not.
Parks?
That's it's kind of an in-between question because some of them, yeah, they could in theory be like a park, but you wouldn't know them as a park. But some of them may be designated as parks or part of a park.
Does it have to do with water?
No.
It has to do with recreation?
No.
Is it a physical thing?
Yes, they are physical places.
Okay.
Outdoor places?
Yes.
Does it have anything to do with government?
Some of them may be government owned and run,
National
but not necessarily. There are private ones.
Oh.
What was that, Dylan?
No, I
National park.
went back to the park.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Does it have to do
Private
with
owned.
animals?
No. No, it's not a zoo.
Okay.
That would be a hell of a lot of zoos.
And people visit this place?
Yes.
Do they sleep there?
Mm-hmm.
They cannot sleep there.
Oh, there goes campgrounds. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's typically it's not a place that you would want to. I mean, if you're looking, for a
Is it
thrill,
a place where something is stored?
Cemetery.
it is. They are cemeteries. Yeah.
Oh.
A lot of people say bus
What
stops,
do I
campgrounds.
Do I get something?
You get the thrill of
You
beating
get a
on
high
to the answer.
five. You get a high five. High five.
Nice.
So I bring this up.
There's 144,000 cemeteries.
More than that. I was trying to find a number of how many, like on estimate, how many bodies there are buried in the U.S., but it's impossible to find out. But my question
Is
to
this
you guys,
what you do, like on a Tuesday night or something? You just
after
you wonder about these things?
after the kids are asleep and I've had a bottle of wine and a cigar, I start to think.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what prompted this. My wife visited. We visited with the kids her grandfather's grave the other day, and I stopped to think to myself, I have never once been, other than at their burial, to my grandparents' graves, and I was extremely close with my grandparents, my mother's father in particular. I've gone and visited their old house. We've gone out east at least 4 or 5 times since we've been here to the Hamptons, where we used to hang out with them, and on the North Shore of Long Island. But the question to you guys is, do you go to grave sites? Do you believe in that? Do you think that it means anything? Not necessarily do you think that the person's presence is there, but more like, I don't know, is it something that you do? I'll ask Abe first. I can't see you sitting at a tombstone visiting someone.
I was going to start out by saying nobody that close to me, but I did have close friends who have passed away. I'm trying to think if, like, my wife, God forbid, passes away before me, which is highly unlikely. Her genetics are way better than mine.
Yeah.
I might be compelled, just for spiritual reasons, to go and physically visit once a week. I could see myself doing that.
But have you done that to anyone in your life that's passed?
No, I have not to date.
Adam, I already know the answer. That's no. You don't go to see the people while they're alive, usually.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
You haven't gone to a grave site to visit someone, have you?
I did go visit one of my trips to the Middle East. I went with my dad to go visit my grandfathers.
Did you know your grandfathers?
My dad's father passed away when I was very young. I was probably like 10 years oldish.
Okay.
But I knew him very well. I mean, he was a great man. He's a man of stature, big dude. In fact, that's where I get my size from, because if you look at my father and my brother, they're not big people.
Right.
My grandmother lived a very long time. After that, I visited her once or twice while I was still living here in Florida before she passed. And my mother, but they lived overseas. My mother's grandparents were here in Chicago, and we saw them once a week. Like, literally, my dad once a week would drive us down to see my mom's family, which is like an hour drive, like almost once a week.
Yeah.
He was very.
We did the same thing with my grandparents. They were a regular part of my life.
Yeah, they were very. And growing up as a kid, when my parents both ran the grocery, a little convenience store they had, I spent a lot. I would spend days at my grandparents' house. And they both. I was in Florida. I'd already moved away from Chicago, and they both died in the same year. It was right around when I was starting to date my wife, so almost 20 years ago now. Jeez, yeah. So, about 18 years ago. So, yeah. But I haven't been to Chicago. When I have gone, I haven't went to their grave. So, but I could feel myself compelled to want to do it if it was my wife, maybe, you know.
What about you, Coop?
So the answer is no. I haven't gone to cemeteries. I haven't lost a lot of loved ones, but I have lost some. But I'll say this, my grandfather who died 38 years ago, there's not a day I don't think about him. My kids know every story about my grandfather, and so much to the point my wife's actually documented those stories, so they live on. So it's not like I haven't forgotten about my grandfather, I just haven't physically gone to the cemetery.
Right, and that was kind of my thing. I've never gone to their cemetery plots, but I tell stories about them all the time. I feel like their stories are still a part of my life. But it kind of made me feel a little bit guilty.
I like to make like monuments, like for Sal. We have a whole wall in one of my stores. We'll be playing. My original partner who passed away, and another great mentor and a dear friend of mine who passed away. There's I don't know. I'm going to say it's about 18 by 20 by 16, 20 by 14 framed picture of him with
I've seen it.
Dialogue.
I've seen it.
That's in every one of my stores and right above my desk. I mean, I'm looking at him now, Harry. So I guess I kind of incorporate it, when they're important to me, where I don't have to go. I mean, look at the picture right above my desk, Dylan. That's my boy Sal.
Okay,
there
you go.
So, yeah, I literally got Sal to my left and Harry to my right. So I mean, I guess I incorporate it where maybe going to a graveyard, is kind of really a redundant thing, but I think it was my wife. I may do it. I might. I can't say. It was someone who I talk to every single day of my life and all my in-depth secrets. I think that might get lost. So maybe a visit.
Abe, you want to hear something? You want to hear something fun? So unrelated, but also related. So I still have Sal's toothpick case in my car door.
Wow.
And I've had probably, 4 cars since he's passed, but it's something that he left in my car. And every time I've had a new car, I've always carried Sal's toothpick case and kept it in my door.
We do stuff like that as human beings. I had a regular. His name was Jersey Paul. Nobody in my company would even remember Jersey Paul, but he was a regular in my first location 24 years ago. And he was a big cigar smoker. He would come in. He was a really good guy, eccentric Jersey guy, but just nice fella. And he I guess wasn't allowed to smoke cigarettes, but he'd always have a green pack of American Spirits. And we had this little coffee table with drawers, and he would just leave it in there. I guess never take it home. But when he'd come in, if he felt in the mood of a cigarette, he'd crack it open. I'm talking like 7 years after he passed away. We opened that drawer and it was still there. We just left it there. And it's been there forever. I mean, that's just like his pack of cigarettes. No one's moving that pack of cigarettes from that drawer, So, yeah, it's nuts. We do stuff like that. So, yeah, it's interesting. Wow, Paul, way to bring the show down. Oh,
yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm morbid with that.
Oh. Anyway, let's see this week who belongs in a cigar insane asylum.
Oh, God, I'm not ready.
Of course you're not.
Never.
I didn't read this. I didn't read this yet, so I have no idea what I'm reading. I hope it's good. By the way, I
got to mute it now. Okay, here it comes.
Welcome to Cigar Asylum.
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Where logic and reason cease to exist.
Okay, go ahead.
Before I get into this funniest story I heard this yesterday. Did anybody hear the story about, I think it's either Australia or New Zealand Domino's?
No.
They had a promotion. If your name was Karen, you got a discount. So if your real name was Karen and you came out, you got a discount. You know they had to kill that promotion. It's true story. You know why they had to kill the promotion?
Too many Karens?
Too many people.
The Karens were offended.
Oh man!
They came in and they started such a complaint and how offended they were by it, they stopped the promotion. So talk about living up to your name. Holy cow. You got $5 off a pizza and you're complaining.
Thanks, Karen.
Yeah. Ruining it for all the great Karens out there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this week, let's see who belongs in a cigar and sale asylum. A man in Bradenton, Florida, woke up to something we can all admit we've thought about in fear. Someone broke into his house. The man woke up from a deep sleep, believing he was being robbed. However, here's where the story takes a turn for the bizarre. In his tired state, the man realized someone was at his feet, not stealing his treasures, but sucking on his toes. He told the intruder he had no money or anything of value in the house, and the intruder proceeded to tell the homeowner that he was merely there to suck his toes. That's all. Is this a true story?
Yeah, it's from a legitimate website. I snoped it.
Oh my God. That's when the man punched the accused toe sucker and forced him outside, according to investigators. While the two brawled, the man who sucked the toes told the other man he had a gun and he tried to fondle him. The man continued to hit the intruder for about 30 seconds before running inside and calling 911. Deputies said at this point, the intruder broke out of the front window of the home, stomped on the other man's car's windshield until it broke. The toe sucker is still at large. Congratulations, Mr. Toe Sucker. You are definitely this week's inductee into the Cigar Asylum. Holy cow.
Allison said it was Juan Cancel.
It was either that or it was Quentin sucking on Kevin's toes.
Oh boy! Wow.
Yeah, Quentin's got a big man crush on big old Kevin.
Does he really?
Oh yeah, it's like noted. It's like public information. It's got a huge man crush. I think it might exceed Adam's man crush for Matt Booth.
Okay,
that's saying something, man.
That's real. That's a real deep level right there.
I gotta up my game apparently.
Yes. Your man crush traits are on a low compared to Quentin, my friend. Sorry.
My local cigar retailer that I was telling you about has the biggest man crush on Terrence.
Riley?
From Aganorsa, yeah. Like, he has a picture of him.
More than Jeff Groover has a man crush on him?
I don't know. It might be. This guy had a picture of him and Terrence together in the shop. No other manufacturer. It's not like he's got pictures on the walls of like him and manufacturers. He didn't have it hanging up. He just had it like printed. Him and Terrence. It was weird.
Coop, are you guilty of anybody having a man crush on you?
Yeah, I've answered this one for Juan Cancel too. You guys are gonna laugh at me.
Go ahead.
Dave Savona.
Oh, he's got a man crush on you?
No, I got a man crush on him.
Oh, you got a man crush? Really, Dave Savona?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know who Dave
honestly,
is.
you can say what you want about those guys. If I could ever
hold on.
Yeah.
You putz don't know who it is. You've been texting with him the last 3 days.
Okay. I didn't know that was his last name. You didn't give me his last name.
It's in the contact, Dave Savona.
I don't think it is. I'll double
it
check.
is.
But all right, so from Cigar Aficionado.
Yeah, Dave Savona refuses to do KMA episode.
I didn't want to say it out loud. He didn't refuse. He was political about it. He said, "I don't have time."
I texted him back because when he wants something from me, he texts me or emails me all the time, and I respond to him like this always, right? And I like the article they just released, which I thought was an interesting article. How COVID?
Yeah, it was a good article.
It was a good article. And I said,
that was good.
I said you should come on KMA. I said, this is great content. We should discuss it, right? Get a little more in-depth about it. He goes, I can make that happen. So I put him together with Paul. Then he told Paul he can't do it. I circled his text, screenshot. I can make that happen. I sent it back to him. I said, what's going on? So he claims it's a Saturday morning thing. So I said, okay, we'll just do a pre-record on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. You let us know. I haven't heard back from him yet. We'll see. I didn't think it was so scary to be on KMA radio.
I think he's not allowed.
I wasn't going to go that far, but we'll see.
You ever hear the expression in the Bible, when before the rooster crows 3 times today, you will disown me 3 times, or deny me 3 times?
Yes.
So every time, believe me, I hear from people complain about aficionado on this, and I always say, before the rooster crows once, you will post something positive about Cigar Aficionado. And it's whenever they're mentioned in a magazine. Like, everyone will bitch to me about it, but believe me. So if you ever see me post a rooster on Facebook under something with Cigar Aficionado, you know that person's complaining to me.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Do you actually do that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, now I'm going to look for that.
Oh, yeah, I've done it, yes. You'll see it.
Dave Savona is your man crush. Wow.
Yeah, listen.
All right. Well, let's take turns. Paul, who's your man crush?
I don't know that I have a man crush. I guess, I mean, does it have to be a person that I know, or could it be a celebrity?
No, anybody. Who's your man?
I would say Howard Stern then. I mean, I love Howard Stern. I've seen him in person a couple times, and I was supposed to be introduced to him by a mutual acquaintance, and I was too nervous. It's the only celebrity I've ever been too nervous to meet. I don't know why. He's one of my heroes, so I figured it would ruin it for me. There's a huge rock star that I was a big fan of, and the few times that I've met him in person, which I've been fortunate enough to meet him 5 or 6 times, it was always ruined. So I'm afraid to meet Howard Stern to ruin that image for me.
All right. Well, we'll skip Adam since we know he's not human. Dylan, have a man crush? You willing to admit on air?
I think this is the first time I've ever thought of this.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Tom Brady?
Sports guy?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's acceptable. Yeah.
I mean, guy's married to a Victoria's Secret model. He's got tiger DNA.
Tiger DNA.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, I don't know if this qualifies as a man crush, because I'm not really sure I understand psychologically what a man crush is, but there's always somebody I would just say that if I could just meet him for 30 minutes, I would love to have just 30 minutes, an hour, maybe a lunch, just to talk to him. It'd be Gordon Ramsay.
Oh.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
He's just the epitome of somebody who just strives for perfection and is in the details. And I find I like people who also know how to inspire other people, which he seems to be good at. That's a guy who always comes to my head. I would love to sit down. I know Paul's going to say, he's an asshole. You know, he's an asshole. I know Bobby in Brooklyn who knows Betty and Billy Bob.
No, I don't know anybody that's met Gordon Ramsay, and I don't know Gordon Ramsay.
I can see it in your face.
I don't agree with his management style sometimes, but...
Oh, everybody doesn't agree with my management style, I'll tell you that.
You're very similar to him.
Well, that's why I would love to talk with him. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that would be mine, so that's that. Well, anyways, Dylan, thanks for taking time off on your Saturday and morning and having a nice conversation with us. And Coop, as always, your contributions to the show are always paramount. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate the opportunity as always. Thank you.
And I guess, hey, look.
Thank you.
The impossible, I mean, I never thought it would happen. I'm invited on Coop's show.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Can I say that? Can I say that yet, or did I just?
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Yes.
Yep.
I actually got the invitation to be on an episode of Coop's show.
When is it going to happen?
August 20th.
Yeah.
So what do you have to block out? Coop, you got to block out 6 hours?
Yeah, about that.
I know I have arrived now.
I'm still hunting Dylan though. Dylan's not up the hook either.
Hey, let me know when, Coop.
All right, hey, we appreciate it. Yeah, we'll get you.
Coop, if you want me to book him for you, I can take care of it for you. If you need a real producer.
Well, you can't even book anybody for next week.
I have somebody for next week. I'm waiting on an answer from. Do you want me to talk about this on the air? No, you don't want me to talk about this on the air, so I can't say why we can't announce the person.
In essence, you basically have. So why don't you just move on?
Moving on.
Thanks, Coop.
Anyway, I feel like that's a good time to end the show. We hope everybody's enjoyed today's show. Dylan, thanks for being here, buddy. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, really.
Appreciate it. We will definitely talk to you next week. We will definitely put out this sometime next week who's going to be our guest, and hopefully we all survive the hurricane. Till then, and as always, stay safe, wash your hands, and keep it lit.